Hello everybody and welcome back to the Cowabunga Collection. So guys, TMNT 2 was actually pretty good, so guess what? There's a sequel coming, yet another one. In fact, here, I found it on this magazine right here. The Turtles have taken new steps to fight crime.
Oh boy, will they go up those steps one by one?
Well, let's see. Raphael decided to start using his head when he fought. So after a year of grueling training, he has hardcore... Oh, sorry, I'm going to zoom in on the stuff for a bit there. Splinter taught Leonardo that the best defense is a sharp offense. So Leo learned to get the edge of a cyclone sword spin that slices his Shredder's soldiers down to the... Yeah, this will also kind of become one of Leo's trademark moves in most of the games. The cyclone. The inspiration for Donatello's devastating attack move came to him while in the late night bowling for Pizza Party. Now he enjoys striking with his gnarly knockout roll. Spare no one, Don.
I love how gritty this artwork looks.
Yeah.
Even though, you know, back in the original ones, while it was gritty, they all had red bandanas. So this looks like a mixture between the original take and the 80s.
Yeah, the Turtles always told Michelangelo that he has smelly feet, so he put them to use with an awesome kangaroo kick.
Basically, Raph can do a head
here's what
dash,
happened.
Leo does a spin attack, Donatello uses a staff, and yeah, Mikey's...
Manhattan's crime rate is up. 2,000 feet to be exact. Because Shredder has ripped the island from the face of the earth. Splinter has taught the Turtles the most excellent new moves that will have Shredder's maw babbling for weeks. And for the first time ever, you can practice your new ninja warfare on each other on the two-player mode as a face has never before seen 8-level test of turtle power for your NES. Battle for survival on surfboards, battleships, blimps, star destroyers, and the seediest parts of Manhattan. So basically, that's more one of the primary first examples of the whole, you know, water on surfboards levels that we have. Fortunately, when the going gets tough, you can change turtles in the heat of combat. Yes, unlike the previous game, when you do die, you can switch your turtle, which remember, you couldn't do that in the previous game, so nice improvement. Make it even more arcadey. You can shoot a slugs like Leatherhead, Razor, Ground Chuck, and Toka. And yes, Toka and Razor from the second movie are incorporated in this one. So, Team Ninja Turtles Free, the Manhattan Project.
Now, the game is known in Europe as nothing since it never released around here.
Yeah, no Hero Turtles this time.
Thank you. Anyway, but yeah, so does this mean that this game's timeline is kind of its own thing at this point? Since,
yeah, basically.
The original characters from the sequel game are now brought into this, or did they ever make the jump to the main stuff for the 80s?
Yeah, at this point, Jova, the NES games are basically running off their own continuity at this point.
I guess I was onto something when I said this looks like quite a fusion of the 80s show and the original comic.
Cowabunga! It's a first. Vacationing Turtles take on the ultimate tourist trap. Serves up, dude. The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles make a little getaway to the Sunshine State. Until Shredder makes a major getaway with the entire island of Manhattan. Yes, his power-hungry plot gets even more bogus when April O'Neil becomes part of the heist. Of course she does. What a relaxing vacation, not. Those Mondo mutants must make waves to get back home to save April and Manhattan, and send Shredder on a one-way trip to Geeksville.
Yeah.
Okay. Shredder's not a geek, so I don't know why whatever. Even 80s Shredder's not a geek.
Send him to Geeksville. We're gonna beat him so bad he'll babble like a geek.
I guess. The hippest in new turtle travel, featuring jet-powered surfboards, a blimp, and a spaceship to whisk you through 8 awesome levels. Go ahead, Deuce.
Although in Japan, for some reason, the game is called Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2.
Yeah.
Manhattan Project.
Don't worry, guys. We're going to see the Japanese title later. Bodacious new turbo attack moves. Leonardo has a cyclone sword spin, and is flying. Raphael charges at first, and the kangaroo kick for Michelangelo, and Donatello, of course, is a mutant bowling ball. Shredder's got a few more moves of his own, inflicted by a slew of slugs. So unless you want Shredder to ninja kick setting you in the face or make off your best girl in your hometown, you better get busy. Squashing him once and for all will be no holiday. Featuring simultaneous play for 2 players or play against the NES.
And I've got to give Shredder credit. Kidnapping an entire city... Yeah, that's quite a step up and way to get vengeance.
He basically Super Mario Galaxy ripped this off by having Bowser rip the entire castle. No, whereas this time Shredder's going not to just kidnap April or something. No, he's going to kidnap the entirety of Manhattan.
Well, look at the bright side. Look at the bright side, dude. At least he didn't take all of
Don't
the
worry.
city.
Don't worry. Don't worry.
Yeah, but he took the only part
There you go,
that
Dips.
mattered.
See? There you go, Dips. See?
Yeah,
man.
well, okay. Now, apparently, the reason as to why it's called Turtles 2 is because the previous game got rid of the number 2 in Japan. So
Yeah. So, yeah.
So it was Japan's turn to get rid of the numbers.
Alright.
You know, it's
Also, I love this here.
fascinating.
Oh my god. It says right here on the back of the cover. Hold on, give me a moment.
Oh my goodness!
I don't know why the hell the back cover says oh my god, but whatever.
Are they foreshadowing My Hero Academia years before it was even created?
But yeah, don't worry, Dej. When the evil Shredder attacks, these turtle boys don't cut him no slack. So we're cool.
It's always fascinating to know that TMNT is popular in Japan.
I'm not too sorry. Okay, despite what a lot of people may think, a lot of Western properties are actually very
And
popular
also,
over in Japan.
I love how these games get. Did these games originally come out in Japan?
Yes, they first came out in Japan, like a month before or something.
So I love the different art styles each game.
Yeah.
Each game gets depending on the region because
Yeah, look at this.
I know, right?
Because in the West we get these designs that are kind of more like the original comics but in color, whereas the Japanese versions have the more friendly, the more cutesy, friendly 80s cartoon designs.
Yes. That's because in Japan they they prefer the cutesy aesthetic over the gritty aesthetic.
Yeah, so it's like, American Kirby is hardcore.
Will the half shells be washed up on the beach? Sun? Sand? Surfboards? Shredder? Talk about a party pooper. The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles try to take a vacation only to have it cut short by Shredder's shadiest sham yet. He'll stop at nothing for revenge. This time that high-hearted anti-hero made off with the entire island of Manhattan. This sinister alien ally Krang has given him the technology to rip the bustling borough from its earthly ties with a rumbling earthquake and let it into the sky. See, just like Bowser did it in 2007. If our holiday heroes ever want to see April O'Neil and the Big Apple in one piece again, they've got to burn rubber and get back home. Also, what is up with
Bowser
April?
and Shredder traded notes.
Also, Shredder looks fine, but what's up with April's design? Like, what's up with her hair? That's not how April's.
I wonder,
that's not-
is
Shredder kidnapped her while she was asleep.
Is this April's look in the comics, I wonder?
No, April looks, if I remember correctly, April looks very differently in the comics compared to the 80s cartoon.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I'm wondering if this is her look from the comics that we're seeing right now.
No, I doubt it. Like, she still has the jumpsuit from the 80s cartoon. Do the shell shock rock.
Different correlation, let me check.
Getting back to Manhattan will be no smooth sail. You'll have to use every modus travelus imaginable, including jet surfboards, a battleship, a blimp, and your own ingenuity. Here's why. Shredder set up dastardly detours every inch of the way with the most mindless, meat-ripping maniacs ever to have a taste for turtle. And he's taught them quite a few new treacherous tricks. The burliest beasts of all await at the end of all 8 totally awesome levels. But keep that melon up for chin up. You've got some stunning new moves yourself. You can take out enemies and rack up points. Oh boy, rack up points. Gotta post gotta post that to leaderboards and so that everybody can see my high scores. So suit up with the turtle of your choice and prove that crime and late peas and release never pay. Okay, so basically insert your game pack into the NES. Yes. Okay, Dwebs, go on. Insert your game pack into the NES. And then turn it on.
I don't have an NES. I'm playing the game right now on my Xbox. Does that count?
Yes. A mode you can okay. In Turtles A mode, you can battle the Geek Gang simultaneously with a partner, but be careful not to accidentally. Basically, the idea is you have Turtle A mode where there is friendly fire, as in you can hurt your partner, or you have B mode where you cannot hurt each other. I don't understand why anyone would want to play A mode, but whatever.
Well, but Pedro. You're telling me you don't know of people who absolutely love to take the piss out of their gaming allies by attacking
yeah.
friendly fire?
Fair point. Sure. Pick a shell, any
Anyway,
shell. Go on.
So I found a look at April O'Neil in the original comic. There is a panel of her in a jumpsuit. I'll post it right here. I think the hairdo does look similar enough to how she looks on in the instruction manual. So
Huh, that's actually pretty close. I mean, aside from the fact that the coat is blue, red, and yellow, yeah, the 80s cartoon, I guess, kind of got it pretty spot on now that I look at it, at this, I guess. Okay.
Now, granted, she wasn't always in a jumpsuit in the comic, but there were some panels of her in a jumpsuit.
I'm guessing. I'm guessing Fred Wolf looked at this specific part of the comics and thought, you know what, that's a great look for April. Let's go with this one.
I've looked up this compilation online, and apparently the music we're hearing now, they just ripped out one of the PS2 2003 era games, hence why we have the 2003 theme playing for the most part.
Yeah, basically. So basically, those of you who grew up on those games, here's a little Easter egg in here in the menus. Smooth moves.
Neato.
So yeah, the screen. So all right, here's Splinter, of course, teaching us how to play. Those training sessions Splinter are about to pay off in a big way. So, but first, let's take a look at the tubular turbo attack moves. Lunar Cyclone Sword Spin. The big kahuna of the bunch has come up with a new use for his katana blades. Yeah, Donatello's knockout roll. Still the brains of the operation. Oh, now that's a term that I'm more familiar with. Donatello has figured out a way to make the enemies look like a league of bowling pins. Michelangelo's kangaroo kick. Luckily, our fun-loving friend has found time to put down his pizza and nunchucks to learn this powerful stomp. And Raphael's power drill attack. Always a hothead, Raph has found a way to put it to good use by becoming a spinning head-first battering ram. And as always, he's got the dual side daggers. Yeah, this is something that Konami really like to do with Raphael. Give him a spin attack. Tournament Fighters also gives him a spinning attack. All three versions, if I remember correctly, give him spin attacks. So this is Konami really like to give Raph spin attacks, or drill attacks if you prefer.
Don't tell me Shredder's Revenge references that too.
Yeah, kind of, a bit.
Yeah?
Yep. Slaughterdale Beach, blah, blah, blah. Brooklyn Bridge, blah, blah, blah. The Shredheads. So we have Bebop, we have Ground Chuck, we have Dirtbag, Slash, Rizar, Letterhead, Krang, and Toka.
Where's Rocksteady?
So yeah, Toka and Rizar are looking pretty cartoony now.
He went to the holiday.
Yeah.
There's Rocksteady.
Mauser, Foot Soldier, Stone Warrior, of course.
That said, it feels wrong that Bebop and Rocksteady are on different teams.
Treat your Konami game pack carefully. This Konami game pack is a precision-crafted device with complex... Yeah, we already read. Avoid subjecting to shock zones and temperature. Never attempt to open or dismantle. Do not touch the terminal leads. Always make sure your NES control deck is switched off when inserting the cassette. You just said it's a game pack. Now you're saying it's a cassette? Make up your mind, you damn manual. Like, is it a game pack or a cassette? Like...
I guess they consider that the same thing.
Yeah, and he once again, this game will destroy your TV if you're not careful somehow. Even though it never happened to me when I was a kid.
Well, that sounds radioactive. That can't be good.
Indeed. All right, let's take a look for the pages of Kevin Eastman's art and see if we can find the game. Here it is. So the Japanese title is. I think I'm going to switch it real quick in a moment. Yeah, oh yeah, never mind. I think I'm going to first check. I forgot to check something. Hold on, give me a moment.
Alright, let's see.
Basically, I forgot to take a look at the Japanese manual. So, and yeah, like we have said, the Japan preferred the more cartoony look of the 80s cartoon because this is how Japan usually prefers more the cutesy aesthetic over the gritty aesthetic.
And it's called Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2 over there because
the first game was called Legend of the Extreme Ninja Turtles, and the second game
was called Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yeah.
So
to be fair, Webs, those titles kind of make a bit more sense because the previous game we just did before this one is in no way a sequel to the first game. It has nothing to do with the first game.
Yeah, Legend of the Extreme Ninja Turtle. I'm surprised that hasn't been like a spin-off in general around here.
There you go. The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, the Manhattan Project. There you go. So yeah, but I usually don't play the Japanese versions. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's cool that Digital Eclipse always puts in the Japanese versions of the games with their collections, but they're more of a curiosity than anything for me because most of the time they're in Japanese, so I can't really understand what's being said. So we're just going to stick to the American version.
Wording, are there any major differences in how they play or look?
Not that I'm aware. I mean, the one thing I can think of is that the game we just did before this one has different codes in the Japanese version, but aside from that, as far as I'm aware, it's the same thing. And there you go. Now they replicate the 80s intro in NES. There you go, see? So yeah, as you can see, we've come a long way from how the first NES game looked.
So let me get this straight. The manual, okay, unless that was a newly made manual, but the manual seems to have gritty-looking visuals, yet the opening seems to suggest that we are going for more of an 80s style, and I'm guessing the sprites in this game also match that of the show more so?
Yes. As you can see. I guess it's because I guess the guy making the American manuals was a particularly big fan of Kevin Eastman. I don't know. Anyway, the turtles are enjoying their vacation on a beach in Florida.
And suddenly a giant truck drove by.
Suddenly, come on, April's report is just about to start.
Boy, they're that loyal that they will.
Go ahead, Jova.
Here in New York, crime is escalating every day. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles spend every one day out.
What happened? Bomber dudes, it's Shredder.
Oh no!
Oh my God, he's taking. Oh my God, he's. Is that Angel Island lifting up? Oh wait, sorry. Never mind. Turtles, I'm taking April along with Manhattan Island. If you want them back, come and get them. Tonight I dine on turtle soup.
Christ, Uncle Phil's gone crazy again.
Yes.
Maybe it's because I'm more used to the 2003 version, but I don't know. Shredder say Bomber is a bit weird.
I can tell you that in the cartoon he doesn't usually say that. Usually.
Yeah. Okay, let me put it like this. Shredder in the cartoon is, for the most part, relatively your typical serious villain here. The idea is that the humor bounces off of his reactions to more bumbling shows and crank.
Not to mention, Web's 80s Shredder is kind of a whiny bitch a lot of the times. Of course, I'm sure you're familiar.
Take over Earth. I don't want to take over Dimension X. I want to take over Earth.
You're not saying it right, there, Jolly. But I don't want to conquer Dimension X. I want to conquer Earth.
Well, that's one thing. There's one thing Turtles Forever got accurately. 80s Shredder moaning a lot.
Oh no. I will agree with that. No, 80s Shredder they get right because he is a whiny bitch. Yeah, he pretty much is. Okay. Although I want to emphasize that yes, while it is true that there's a lot of silly moments with Shredder, he does still pose a threat a lot of the time still. So it's one of those cases where think of him like Eggman, like where Eggman, personality-wise, is kind of a big kid in an adult's body, but he's still a menace. When he's
or like Jack Spicer, if you watch.
Sure, if you prefer that.
Ah, yeah, I remember Shaolin Showdown.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, Manhattan Project is once again made by the same team that made the previous two games, and yeah, as you can see, they've upped the ante because yeah, this game looks even better than the first one. Like the graphics have definitely come a long way since the first NES game, because the first NES game still looks.
I was that one walking in place.
Speaking of upping the ante, Shredder ain't playing around. He's apparently sent the ninjas out to kill the turtles as far back as Florida, for Christ's sake.
Yeah.
How did he even find them in Florida?
Actually, he doesn't even need to send them to Florida. The citizens can just take care of themselves.
Simple.
Wait. So are you implying that these aren't Shredder's minions, but just regular Florida citizens attacking the turtles?
Yes.
well, Dubs, in the 80s cartoon, usually whenever they want to justify something, they usually have either Donnie or Krang come up with some kind of weird gizmo that does whatever the plot needs it to. Like, oh, I've got this ray. What is this? What does this ray do? Oh, it transforms this thing into humans or some shit. But then when that's it. Like, and then, of course, like James Rolfe said in his review in the review he made with the Nostalgia Critic of the first Bay movie, that would be really useful to use. No, actually, no, let's never mention this ever again.
Also, the logo in the bottom of the screen, why does it look like 3 clones of Mikey are holding it up? Is it because we're playing as Mikey and the colours change if we're playing
No, they don't. Like, I guess whoever was coloring that part of the screen screwed up. I don't know what to tell you.
No, I got it. This is Shredder's new plan. Clone the turtles and have the clones be like sabotaging the team from inside, and they'll never be able to tell because they look identical to the real thing.
Mm-hmm. Well, in that case,
was a plot in one story.
It's a shame. It's a shame it's not. It's a shame that it's the bandanas are not red, because if they were red, you could argue it's the original Kevin Eastman turtles. Because remember, in the original comic, they all have red. When you
get down to it, that is kind of a shade of red, honestly.
Well, yeah. My basic point is that when Kevin Eastman originally drew them, they all had the same color, but it was the 80s cartoon that had the idea of differentiating them with different colors, and even the comics themselves adopted that too. So
I'm gonna be honest, that was definitely a good idea.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, granted, maybe the idea back then wasn't to differentiate them, but in the original comics, they could be very hard to tell apart, especially since they were often always scowling. Look with their teeth.
Deji, tell me, Donnie being good with machines. That was an 80s cartoon that came up with that, right? It wasn't. Yeah.
This cartoon, I think, pretty much came up with all their diversifying personalities for the most part.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's interesting. It's interesting. We talked about how Peter Laird hates the 80s cartoon, but the 2003 show adopts those same characters. Correct.
Well, the reason for that is because the developer of that version, Lloyd Goldfine, did enjoy the 80s show quite a bit. He just wanted to go in a different direction with the 2003 one.
Oh, I get that.
No, we're talking about Peter Laird's issues with the 80s series, and we know where that would eventually lead us.
Yeah, I'm just explaining why, how 80s influence might have got in there.
No, but I understand the logic. Like, you have to understand from Fred Wolf's perspective. He wanted to make sure all 4 turtles were easily distinguishable. Not to mention, remember, like in any 80s cartoon, it was made for the purpose of selling toys. So obviously, it would be much easier to sell 4 different toys of each turtle if they all had distinctive features. Cowabunga dude says, ride the wave back to Manhattan.
Oh, yes, of course. Let's just surf all the way back from Florida to New York.
Yes.
How'd that work?
It's that easy, isn't that right, Dej?
No, it's not. You know how long that'll take?
Ages, since apparently New York's water isn't that wavy.
Kind of longer since New York is technically flying in the air at the moment. But is it yet?
But that was the basic idea. Like, they came up with the idea of Leo being the leader, Raphael being the hothead, sarcastic one, Mikey being the party dude, and of course Donnie being good with machines, the brains of the group.
Shredder literally fought to have his ninjas waiting in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean for these guys.
Trust me, Jova. Shredder and Cranks. Forget this. It's kind of like that same thing on how we never question where the hell does Eggman get all the funding and resources to build so many robots. We also don't question where Krang and Shredder get all the resources in order to build so many foot soldiers.
I'm not even wondering.
They steal them, of course.
I'm not even wondering about the resources. I just got to admire how determined Shredder is for revenge, to the point where he has littered the Atlantic Ocean all on the course from Florida to New York
He really
All
wants.
this stuff in there. Holy cow!
Actually, I was wrong. Turns out the Mirage comic did establish that Donnie is the scientist, but it wasn't as detailed compared to the 80s show.
Ah, okay. Well, so there was okay.
He says that he's familiar with some computer systems and helps April deactivate the Mousers.
So basically, Fred Wolf read that and he thought, you know what? Let's roll this. Let's make him the nerd of the group.
Okay, the way to look at it with the 80s show is that, yes, in some ways it was a bit of a departure from Peter Lair's original vision because it was a bit more lighthearted and was allowed to actually, lighten up every now and then. That's not to say that the comics were nothing but grimdark affair, but they took themselves way more seriously than quite possibly
Strategy guys.
Yes.
So the original release date was on December 13th, Dibs, and came out in February in America. So yeah, 2 months before. Dude, where's my city? Ha ha ha. While the Turtles were on a sweet Floridian vacay, Shredder stole the entire island of Manhattan. You'll have to bring back the Big Apple in this all-original 2-player NES adventure. Yeah, not a port. This is all original. Developer special message. Enter the famous Konami code that's up, down, left, right, B, A, start at the title screen of the Japanese version, and you'll get a special message from the developers thanking you for buying the game. Aw, shucks. So nice. Basically, your typical thank you for playing our game. In the US version, it up, down, left, right, A, B, start for the options menu, which lets you set the difficulty, lives, stage, and access the sound test mode. The same code in the Japanese version will enable stage select. Once again, the codes are different in the Japanese version. So there you go. We also have 5 continues. Put in the Konami code backwards. A, B, right, left, down, up, to get 5 continues instead of 3 in the Japanese version. Righteous! Tubular Turbo time. Hey, you know how Tubular Turbo attacks, press A and B together, drain your health? Well, they'll never reduce it to 0, and you're invincible when you use them. So if you're in danger, don't hesitate to use them often. So there you go. That's a very good tip, actually. So even though they reduce your health, they never actually reduce it to 0. So if you're near death, might as well spam it. Flip your lid. Look, we know everybody loves jump kicks, but if you haven't tried the jab and toss, you're missing out. Press down and B simultaneously to flip enemies over and do massive damage. It's totally sweet, bro. Anyway, Donnie's do's and don'ts, Don't walk up to an enemy head on. You'll likely walk right into an attack. Do approach from the diagonal, which is much safer. Yep, true. Be sure to check out the Turtles' lair. Deep inside their sewer hideout, the fearsome foursome have stashed away tons of exclusive stuff all about these games. See the original boxes, read the manuals, and even check out never-before-seen behind-the-scenes design documents.
Wait, but they design documents? I'm like, the Turtles have committed theft. They stole secret design documents.
No, it's okay, Dwebs. Konami needed a place to hide them, and they picked the Turtle lair because, nobody would think to look there.
They needed to clear out space for the complaint letters they were getting about eFootball.
Well, there you go.
I guess we're not going to exactly surf the entire way back to New York. Instead, let's ride on a submarine that Shredder provided for us to get there.
Yes. Okay, to address what Jovo was saying earlier. Well, Jovo, one thing you have to remember about the original comics is they were meant to be a satire of your typical campy comic book, basically. So
Which in that case, I can get why they came off as gritty. The ironic thing, though, is that for stuff that was supposed to be a satire, it felt like they were taking themselves more seriously than, the actual satire. But then again, maybe there were some bits that clued in more on the satire. It's been a while since I've read those, essentially.
Okay, correct me if I'm wrong, Dej. If I remember correctly, the original idea is that all 4 Turtles were very serious and dark and grim all the time because it was meant to be a direct contrast to the more campy nature that you would how Superman would behave and stuff like that.
I mean, it was also like the era where comic books were also being dark and gritty, but it was basically a satire on Daredevil.
Oh, really?
So,
big thing about the Foot Clan, the Hands, Master Splinter, Stick.
Also,
Murdoch is
okay. I think I see what you mean. So it's kind of like the Coon trilogy from South Park, where they have.
It's technically supposed to be serious, but it was made as a satire.
Yeah. Because Because remember, like with South Park, they made the Coon trilogy, which is basically a satire of dark and gritty superhero movies, where they even have Cartman talk about how he must stand around and monologue deeply to himself. Which again is to parody something like the ending of Dark Knight and stuff like that, where you hear the speech from Gary Oldman and shit like that. So so basically it was kind of trying to do the same thing as the Coon trilogy. Sure, I get you. Go on.
Now, if I recall, though, again, ironically, I feel though like the comics are definitely the most serious that any iteration has taken themselves. Granted, again, maybe a direct comparison might yield a different observation, but I do recall that comic book being very serious. Like, yes, the intent was to be satire. I don't always feel that it came through, regardless, though. That being said, as for why Peter Laird didn't like the 80s series, from my notes, from what I can gather, is he really did not like it being a more comedic, which you can tell in the...
not just that, if I remember correctly, I don't think he just liked it, period. I thought he didn't like the humor, he didn't like what they did to the Turtles, he just didn't like it in general.
Has he ever stated his thoughts on the other iterations altogether? Or is it mainly just the 80s show that we know his thoughts on?
That's a good question. Deji, do we know what Peter Laird thinks of the 2012 Turtles?
Let me check.
Go on.
Okay, one thing I do know is that I don't remember him ever commenting on any other show aside from the 80s one, but there was that example where I don't think he liked well, to be fair, no one liked
Kevin Eastman did like Venus.
No one liked Next Mutation, but Laird especially didn't like Venus.
Yeah, see, you know what's the interesting thing about those two, by the way? I get the feeling those two are really polar opposites, in the sense that Peter Laird can be a gatekeeper to an extreme, whereas Kevin Eastman is very open-minded, but sometimes he can be probably a bit too open-minded, apparently. So...
Two sides of the same coin when you get down to it.
Didn't they bring Venus back in a comic?
Well, I believe they
the latest
did.
IDW story arc.
Okay. I will say this. Venus had potential. Again, it came down to the execution. Granted, I swear, Next Mutation feels like a fever dream every time I think back to it. It's like, it's not just that it's bad, it's just bizarre.
I saw, while it was on Netflix, I saw the first 2 episodes of that show.
And your thoughts?
Well, I didn't watch the rest of it, so what do you think?
Well, again, maybe it captivated you with its brilliance so much that your mortal eyes could not handle the greatness, or maybe I'm just kidding myself and it was just that terrible.
Oh, hold on.
Yeah, I didn't bother. I mean, it was made by. It's a non-Power Rangers Saban product that wasn't an anime.
You know, this is starting to become a problem. First he kidnaps Manhattan. We already know he's gonna kidnap Lady Liberty in Turtles in Time.
Again.
Yeah, and he also does that again in Shredder's Revenge. So, damn, what the hell does Shredder have against iconic places and monuments from New York?
It's his vengeance against Turtles. He really needs to see a therapist about that.
Yeah, clearly. All right, everybody, tune in next time for where we continue to continue to use Turtle power to put a stop to the menace.
And see just how crazy Shredder has gone in this venture.
See ya.
See ya.